Welcome guys, let's discuss today filter, map and for each. Okay, so let's just create a new file, make it as, just rename it as filter map and for each.js. Right, so guys, what is the need of map and filter? Right, it actually again helps us to ease out your job. So in Java we had it's almost similar to what we have in Java, like in predicates we can pass in predicates to filter, to map, and similarly in JavaScript as well we can do something similar to that. So let's say I have like certain individuals whose ages are like, say, one is 12, 24, 56, 78, 90, and then somebody is 100 years old. Now can I just iterate through these values? What is for each? So for each just an iteration, right? So it just helps us to iterate through all these values. So how can I do that? Just mention ages dot for each, and then you have to use your arrow function, right? For every element, right? This means for every element, an arrow function, you print that element, console.log ele. Right? So what does the statement mean is for every ele, just print that ele. Or you can say console.log ele times 2. That means for every element, you multiply each ele by 2 and then you just log it. Right? Let me just include that JS file over here and let's just go to browser. Okay, so if you see, you have to multiply it multiplies every element by 2 and prints it, right? So that was a really simple use case, guys. So let's just come to the map now. So what is map actually? So ages.map. So it is almost, again, the syntax is almost similar for every element, right? For every element within this ages array. Let's say I just want to again multiply by 2. So how I'm going to do that? Multiply every element by 2, right? But guys, um, for each doesn't have a return type. Okay, so if you see, it has, though it has modified the array, but you cannot catch that new array, the modified one, right? So either you have to declare a variable over here like const new array, right? And then what you have to do is inside this arrow function you have to multiply each element by 2 and store in that array. That was really not a nicer way of doing things, right? So that is where the map has simplified our job. What it returns, it just returns the new array. So I can just simply say over here my new array is equal to ages.map ele star 2. So which means this array, right, every element from this array will be multiplied by 2 and will be stored in the new array. It is as simple as that, guys. You really need not declare a variable and then you just multiply the element by 2 and then you store it in that new array and then you print that array. So that is something, guys, a tedious task to do. So that is where like map comes quite handy. So you just catch it, you modify the collection and you catch it. So just see, print why it hasn't. Okay, I haven't printed anything. Let me just console.log my new array. That's it. And let's see now. Yeah, so 24, 48, 112, 1. So basically what it has done is it has given me a new array, but it doesn't change the underlying collection, guys. So it doesn't change the underlying array. The original array remains untouched. So let me just print over here. To be very specific, I'm using the tick operator. Original array is still unmodified. Okay, that's then print like this. Okay, original array is still unmodified, so which is 12, 24, 56, 78, 90 and 100, right? And then what is filter? Filter is, again, guys, so in traditional for each, right, if you have to filter some values like give me ages who are, give me the age person who have age like greater than 30, right? So what do you do in for each? In traditional for each, you will create a outside array similar to the map, right? You'll create an outside array, then you will write some logic inside this for each to fetch the elements which are greater than 30, and then you're going to store in that new array, and then you're going to print that array. But what does filter do for us? My age, let's say greater than 30 people, or now ages dot, just use filter. Syntax is again guys same. For every element, give me the elements which are greater than 30. Okay, which means iterate through every element, but filter the values which are greater than 30. And since it has a return type, it will store it in the new array. Again guys, the underlying collection will not change. Okay, keep that in mind. And then let's say that's my filtered array is equal to ages greater than 30. All right, let's print it. So my filtered array is 56, 78, 90, and 100. So guys, you see like how nice it is now, right? You get rid of all those logics, right? So that is filter, that is map, and that is for each. Okay, let's also see reduce guys. So how reduce works. So reduce, it always reduces the entire collection, whichever collection you pass to it, on whichever collection you use reduce on, it reduces it to a single value. So that is the name reduce. All right. So let's see if I just want to sum all the elements in this ages array. So guys, if you have heard about predicates in Java, so we can always pass predicates right to these functions, right, such as reduce, filter, and map in Java. So similarly in JavaScript, exactly the same concept. What we're going to do is let me just write a logic that I just want to sum of any numbers that I pass, right? So that basically serves as a predicate for me. So I have to pass a function to it. So now this is my a function, right? So reduce basically accepts a callback. It accepts a function as the parameter. Just hold on. It will get clarified in a moment. So I'm just going to pass ages dot reduce sum, right? And let me just log that console dot log, and let's just since it will produce a single value, let's just log the sum, save it, and I think it should print it. See, it has given 360. Okay, so which is sum of all these arrays. I just also want to show you guys one thing. So if you see the official documentation of JavaScript, right, so they have given this example over here. So how it works, they have given a very nice table around it. So what reduce basically does is it accepts 4 parameters, right? These two are not mandatory ones. So accumulator and current value. So if I have to write this entire thing in a single method, so how I'm going to write it, I'll just do console.log my ages dot reduce. My accumulator would be a comma b, and so it's almost similar guys, so no difference, a plus b. So basically it will reduce the array to the sum of these values. So what's the is, am I missing a bracket? Yeah, okay, there has to be another bracket over here. Now if you save it, and it will both give you the same the same output, 360 360. So that is how it works guys. So we have used in a similar manner now in the example here. So accumulator can also have a default initial value. So the first parameter would be accumulator. By default it will be 0, initialized to 0 if you are not giving it any initial value, and then the current value, right, and then the current index and the return value from the accumulator. So over here in the first call it will return 1, and that will be caught in the accumulator, and then accumulator will will invoke this function again on the remaining elements, which is 2. The current value will be 2 and your current index will also be 2, and it will return 3. So then accumulator will have 3. So that is how it keeps on, in every iteration it keeps on adding. right? And there is, if you see just below this, they have also given that you can pass in an initial value to accumulator. So let's say to this total sum, I wish to add an initial value, right? So over here, if you would see, so they have used the reduce function, right, and separated, and at the end, let's say I just want to add, so our sum was 360, let's say I want to add 40 to it. So my accumulator initial value now be 40. Now if I'm just going to refresh it, 360, okay guys, where I have written, okay, so I think, okay, so I just need to change this. So then I have to just change this method a bit, guys. So it would be, sorry, a plus b comma 40. Over here it will be 400. Okay, so that's how. So after the arrow function, right, this is my function body, right, and after my function body, if I pass the initial value, that will be assigned to the accumulator, and it will be added to the total sum. So over here, like my logic was to calculate the total sum. It could be, for you, it could be like you want to multiply everything, right? So let's say you just want to not multiply, yeah, let's just do multiply, and then let's see what happens. Right, so it has given a very long value, because it has performed the multiplication on this entire array, and it has reduced it to a single value. So that was a small example, and probably I hope it would have clarified your doubts on these common methods that we have. Right, there are also advanced use cases for it. So guys, this is just the basic series of JavaScript, so I'm not going to move into the objects, that how we're going to reduce and how we're going to use these on objects. If needed, I'll probably make a separate video, but this one is just to to help you clarify the basic concepts of JavaScript. So thank you guys. In next video, let's take another important topic on JavaScript. Right, thank you, and do like and subscribe.